So as much as I would love to spend 2 minutes talking about how Pascal Siakam will be the greatest power forward ever, I talked about him in a role player video like 2 weeks ago, so I don't feel like doing it here. So the first power forward we're going to talk about that you got to watch for this upcoming season is Dario Saric of the 76ers. It's kind of funny to think that the player he has become in the NBA wasn't really the player that everyone thought he was going to be. Like, now he's shooting 5 to 6 threes a game, playing off the ball for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. He's a great floor spacer and all that. But if you looked at his scouting reports and everything before he got to the league, people viewed him as kind of like a point forward. But because Ben Simmons takes over the ball, as he should, Saric has had to redefine himself a little bit. I mean, he wasn't too far away from this stretch four, occasional post-up guy, occasional off-the-dribble guy, but he still had to do a little bit of work to his game, and he's done a really good job. And I expect him to just keep on keeping on for this upcoming season. I think the one area he could improve at is the post-ups. He doesn't do it too often, but when he does, it's not that successful, so I guess that could be the next thing, and at that point, you could really run any kind of play for him, and even if he doesn't have that for this upcoming season, then I think just improvements to his shooting, his passing is still really good for when he's able to do it. Saric is just a great fit for the 76ers. Aaron Gordon is kind of the king of this category, power forwards to watch for the upcoming NBA season, whatever season it may be at that time. I have a little fear that he has almost hit his ceiling, but then a lot of me also believes that he's nowhere close to being what he wants to be. He did kind of enter the NBA at an awkward time where the transition from power forwards doing everything around the basket to doing more things around the perimeter just started, and you can tell that he's been kind of playing catch-up, and he's been developing the three-pointer, and this season was his first year where his outside jumper was actually something. Perhaps he can build on that more for this upcoming season. Hopefully, this kind of weird Magic roster in terms of who's going to play what position doesn't mess him up. I mean, between him, Jonathan Isaac, and Bamba, Bamba's going to play the 5. I have no idea what position Jonathan Isaac is actually going to play. You would think power forward, but of course Gordon is there, so is one of them going to have to move to the other wing position? Is that going to hurt them? Is it not going to matter at all? I don't know. I mean, in a way, you could say Gordon and this entire Magic team can be in this category, but we're just going to stick to Gordon because, the athleticism, the ball handling, it's all there, and whatever he's going to be, we're going to be 1 year closer to it. Next up, Harrison Barnes, who is playing power forward for the Mavericks and has for a couple years. Dirk is their center now, and it's safe to say Dirk's going to be coming off the bench, so there shouldn't be any complications at this position moving forward. He's got 2 playmakers now. Well, Dennis Smith is kind of a playmaker. Luka Doncic is a legit playmaker, and while Harrison Barnes can put up some points and make some shots, he can't really create his own shot consistently. He can do it, but nowhere near enough to be your number one option for a winning team. But now that he's got 2 other guys who can really create and always in Rick Carlisle's system, and the spacing should be pretty good, maybe Harrison scoring could jump up just a bit more this season. He's been hovering around 19, 20 points a game. I guess there's a chance that Dennis Smith or Doncic could take over so much that Harrison's point totals go down, but his efficiency goes up. But I could also see a world where he creeps up to 23, maybe even 24 points a game. That might sound a little too crazy, but I don't know if anyone saw him taking the jump that he made when he got to Dallas in the first place, and now he's got actual teammates. So, hey, just gonna leave it out there. Maybe Harrison Barnes can be a big-time scorer. We are now going to look at Carmelo Anthony, who could end up being terrible for Houston. Maybe not in terms of how good he actually is, because I do think while he was, of course, bad for OKC on defense and everything, the dude still has talent. The guy can still make shots. His problem is he does way too many like post-ups and isolations, where at this point he should be more of an off-ball dude. And the reason why I say he could be terrible is maybe he doesn't totally want to do that, and maybe his defense is also going to be a disaster. But maybe we got to leave this open to possibility here that Carmelo Anthony can be a pretty good off-ball player, even if it's not a perfect fit, but it's good enough. On top of giving them a third guy who can create his own shot occasionally. Sure, you're not going to choose to go to Melo over Harden or Chris Paul, but whether Chris Paul is going to play 65 games again, whether they decrease James Harden's minutes, which I've been saying they should do this for years now, whatever. In all these little situations, can Melo just be some guy who on any random night can give you 17 to 22 points? Hey, maybe. I think it's at least fair to expect him to do that. I mean, it's Carmelo Anthony. Like, is he really just going to be this bad towards the end of his NBA career? I don't know. Bobby Portis is the forgotten Chicago Bull. I think people have been getting a little carried away with how good this Bulls young core is. I like it, don't love it, it's whatever. But Portis has been, kind of swept under the rug. And not to say that I love Bobby Portis' game, but he's got good size. He can move pretty damn well. And, if it was a couple years ago, they might look at him as more of a small forward for some of his athletic abilities on top of his handle, which is pretty okay. I don't think it's good enough, or I shouldn't say his handle isn't good enough, probably just his overall smarts as a player are not good enough to really lead offense, but it's something to look at. On top of his shooting, which is getting a little better by the season, there could be a real NBA player within Bobby Portis that's just waiting to come out for the Bulls.